It's Monday night. It's the off night. All the comics and their friends are coming over to over the site here. It's never broadcasting from my YouTube channel, but we're sharing it to the Detroit Comedians and Comedy Fans page. And there's another one. I can't remember which one. Anyway, I've got a link there. This scroll across the bottom is how you can join us if you want to. Regulars Andy Jensen and Sam Greenfield are here. So let's get it going. All right. Excellent. Playing with some music that I can or cannot figure out whether I'm supposed to be using that music or not, but I'm sure they'll tell me if I'm not supposed to be. All right. I'm going to bring Andy. Oh, Andy's with us now. Let me see.
Sorry, man.
Let's see if I can bring him. And I see Andy.
Stream.
I see him. I can't. Yeah, there we go.
Can't get me in the show.
Something wrong. All right. Right now we've got Andy. Can I hear you, Andy?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, I can hear Andy. All right, I can hear you.
I can hear you too.
All right, hold on. Let me see. Let me get Sam in here.
Got Sam. There's Sam.
I barely. I don't know why. I mean, I can. Can you hear me, Andy?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Can you hear Sam?
I haven't heard Sam yet.
Okay, but
he's very down. He's down. I can't hear him very well at all.
Yeah. He's got a. I can't turn mine up anymore without blasting. So Sam may have to turn his up.
You got it up? Is it on mute, Sam?
No, I can hear him a little bit. I just can't. He's just not loud.
I know he's frozen now.
Well, that's not good either. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, Happy New Year, dude.
Happy New Year to you. Do anything special for the new year? Oh, I wrote my first joke of the year.
What's that?
I wrote my first joke of the year.
Oh, let me hear it.
For the first time ever, I'm not still writing the previous year on my check.
All right. Sounds good.
So I got to 21 real quick on my check. So there was no lingering nostalgia like there is every other year in January, where you keep writing the previous year on your checks.
Got it. Yeah, I was the last person I know who has checks. I have no idea.
I got a faint sound of Sam. Let me see if there's anything. I don't think there's anything I can do on my end. I can control my volume on microphone and speaker, but there's nothing I can do for his. I can mute him, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't hear him at all. So.
Well, when he speaks, I barely hear him.
Yeah.
I can barely hear him. You know what? That's louder. But he just went. That was louder, but it sounded like he was underwater.
Yeah.
So
maybe he's just gonna retry the Steam thing. Getting back in the stream.
Okay, you're back on, Sam. Give it another shout.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
there we go. There we go. What did you do different? Did your daughter walk in the room?
I put on underwear.
There we go. That works. He did the traditional reboot. I rebooted it.
I haven't done stand-up in a while, but I wrote a new joke.
Okay.
Dan Quayle, what an idiot. Should I catch up?
Yeah, I think that's good. That's perfect for the time. I think that's good.
You know, it's funny when they did that reboot of Murphy Brown. It was like, this would have been funny back when it was Murphy Brown the first time around. The way they did it.
You know what happened? They had a problem with, ironically, with the audio, because the walkers that they used for this cast kept scraping against the floor. I got some. My birthday was Saturday.
Happy birthday!
Oh.
And my wife said, you can't do old jokes ever again.
That's it. You have to retire the old jokes.
You have to remember you are, in fact, old.
We should have an auction of Sam's old jokes.
Oh, there you go.
Ah!
Sell them on. There you go.
Who wants Sam's jokes of the elderly? Hey, I've been playing around. Listen to this. I've been playing around with some music, trying to find some stuff that wouldn't cost anything as far as paying for royalties. Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Here's the one I found for the end of the Trump administration. Wait a minute.
Sounds like Pee Wee Herman.
Is that Flight of the Bumblebee?
No, wait a minute.
Is it Pee Wee Herman?
I hate technology. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, it's all tech. It's all technology.
All technology. All I need is 11,870 votes, and I'll be fine. That's all I need.
You know what was funny about that is when Trump said that, the reaction of Ratzenberger, is that his name?
Yeah.
It was almost, maybe it was just my perception. He seemed shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
He did. He was like he didn't say it like, you can't do that. He went, you can't do that. Like almost like you can't. What do you do?
It was probably. I thought the response was more like sounded like Ratzenberger turning to his attorney, going, "Are you getting this? Are you getting this?"
Yes. Could you speak louder, Mr. President?
Somebody contact the Washington Post now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, by the way, I'll tell you something very interesting. When Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, Trump started attacking, the Washington Post because he hates Bezos.
Right.
And Bezos, who could buy Trump and his whole family 30 times over, went out and that's not the right word, went out and hired 50 reporters, full-time, full salary, and he had a meeting with them, these 50 reporters, okay? And he said, you have one job, Donald Trump.
I believe it. If you read the Washington Post, I mean, they were the first one to run the running tally on all of Trump's lies. Remember they had that running tally? I mean, it's up to, he talks about 11,870 votes. He's got that many lies in
it's more. It's 20. It's about 20,000. But the thing is, and by the way, the reporters he hired weren't hacks. He hired he hired people off of other papers. He hired some really good people. And he also came up with their new slogan. You know, like the New York Times is all the news that's fit to print.
Yeah.
The Washington Post, and it's a brilliant motto. Democracy dies in darkness.
Ooh, I like that.
Nice.
That's their motto.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can't get over how many Republicans are jumping in on this. This is just like, to me, it sounds like political suicide.
Let me tell you what it is. I was thinking about this today. And I say this as someone who's older than either of you. When I was a kid,
so we must listen.
Okay.
When I was a kid and the covered wagon had broken down, so we stopped for vittles. No. When I was a kid.
Hey, you're old enough to use the word vittles. That just about covers it right there.
Yeah. And my mom would clang the triangle because it was time for the ranch hands to come in and eat. No. No, but when I was a kid, there was a group of senators who were virulent racists. They didn't hide it. Their language, you can look up their quotes, was vicious and racist. It wasn't like, well, I think the black people. Oh no, it was N-word, blah 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 blah.
Right.
And Herman Talmadge, John Stennis, Joel Broyhill, Pat Robertson's father, Marion Robertson.
Wow.
And these guys, Cruz, Ron Johnson, Hawley, that idiot in Montana, Danes.
Yeah.
That's who they are. That's who they are. We talked about this before. This is that segment of this segment of white America's last stand. Because it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop anything.
Here's the problem. I'm going to tone down a little bit here, see if I can get the same close to the same color you guys are here. I got so much bright in my studio. Anyway,
never look lovelier.
Thank you.
I'll leave, guys.
We have to talk. Here's three old white guys talking about this, but we have to talk about how we we have to define for everybody what systemic racism is. We have to be able to point it out easily and without excuse. We have to teach people how to accept things as they are. Because white men are not going to be reproducing the amount of babies that immigration gave them from Europe in the 1800s.
Not even close.
They cannot. They can, trust me. The ethnic minorities
are popping them out like peas.
There's no way white people could do this. They would sue somebody. They would sue somebody if white people were forced to have as many children as they need to keep a majority. They would be suing somebody.
Well, the churches are trying, but I kind of go with Spike Lee's definition of racism. Is that you're always going to have prejudiced people, but you can actually defeat racism because it's a sustained government organization of prejudice. So if you just get rid of the laws that allow it to happen, you can get rid of racism. You won't get rid of prejudice, but you'll get rid of racism.
Well, that's what I've always said. There's a difference between discrimination and bigotry. There's always going to be bigots, but discrimination is legal.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing.
You can't swim here. You can't eat here.
Yeah.
That there's a difference. I mean, you'll see a black kid swimming and some white fool goes, okay, he's not going to change. That person's not going to change. But the law will change.
Yeah.
And they can either get along with the law or they can be that woman who attacked that black kid for accusing him of stealing her cell phone. She has to go to jail.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, do you know the story about her? This isn't the first time this has happened with her.
I saw the TMZ report. God love TMZ. They call it.
This isn't the first time.
They call it the 3 mile zone, but if they get their hooks in somebody, they just don't let up. So.
Which is great. I used to hate them because they had this kind of guess who I saw coming out of that. But no, they're doing some serious reporting now.
They really are. I mean, every once in a while they'll get somebody that needs it, and where our mainstream media kind of back off on those things, and we need facts, we need figures, and anymore. Have you noticed this? One in the local, if there's stories that have been on national news this year, and as if we didn't have enough news already, that would never have made the news if they didn't have video. And it's just silly stuff.
Oh, there's tons of them. Yeah. George Floyd.
And so now that we've had a whole year of people Zooming and streaming and iPhoning and all that stuff being accepted as decent video, and the technology getting better and our standards getting lower because we don't expect it to be professional all the time because people are doing it on their phones. Now anything can get on the news.
Yeah.
Michael Brown. I mean, the list doesn't end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, with and George Floyd, which started the Black Lives Matter movement.
No, it was the Black Lives Matter movement was the other guy in St. Louis. Oh, Michael Brown. You're right, Michael Brown. Not George Floyd. Michael Brown started Black Lives Matter.
Michael Brown.
What George Floyd did was allowed white people to say Black Lives Matter without their white neighbors going ape shit on them.
Yeah.
No, they still want ape shit, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's always been a part of the operation. You know, it was always about, they were always, if a white person helped a black person, they would usually attack the white guy
right.
and beat the crap out of him. You know, that was the whole issue.
Well, the whole thing about we incarcerate way too many people in this country. When you look at
Oh my God, yeah.
That's what we
you
lead.
look-
We lead the world in that incarcerated prison people. We lead
And-
the
and-
world.
and what does
Yeah.
that do for anybody? I mean, to think about it, there are some crimes that one are victimless. This 3 strikes you're out thing, pretty much lost the black vote for Hillary Clinton. You know, for
Mhm.
because that put a lot of people in jail for things that were victimless crimes, but they were
Yeah.
crimes nonetheless. You know,
I was
Some guy in California committed some kind of petty little crime, but it was the 3rd strike. He's like 22 years old. He got 70 years.
yeah. I used
70.
to drive. I had this one little job where I was driving people from the prison in Milan to the bus station. It was a little gig. We had that gig and running tires. That was it. So I got this one guy in the back, and he's telling me about.
You can tell you're a comic because you call every job you get a gig. You know,
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
we're running prisoners from Milan Prison a gig.
How much
there
time
we
do
go.
I
It's
have?
all gig work, man. It's all gig work.
Exactly.
So
I'm
you
middling now, but usually I'm the guy that's being driven from prison to prison. You know.
that's right. You know, it's like, yeah.
So you
So
were
how long you been
driving-
doing your stand up in there? 10 years? Okay, I gotcha. All right.
So you were
So we
driving
do
this
sit
guy.
down.
So there was a guy in the back.
There's a guy in the back, and he was in for like 15 years. He had killed a guy. He was in the military, and he killed a guy on a dance floor. And he had gone through his life. He had learned to trade inside. And he was coming out, and he was he was doing good stuff to get out. So I says, but you're in for 15 years. And he says, there's only one person. One person I truly feel sorry for, and it's the drug guys. Because I can get out in 15, and I get out in actually 10 for good behavior. Those guys get 3 strikes. They're in for 25. No, nothing. They're there for 25 years.
That's going
That's-
to start dissipating
That's
as
bullshit.
marijuana becomes legal.
That's it. Because most of them were marijuana hits. It was like a little
Right.
bag of here, a little bag of there, and then they would add them up. They would get drug dealers to add up on the people who were buying so they could get them for the 25 years.
Until 3
Hey,
years
what's the best-
ago, 2 grams in Texas, 2 grams, 10
Yeah.
years.
Shit.
Exactly.
I tell you what, though, all the prisoners in Michigan that are getting out on marijuana charges can thank Donald Trump for drawing all that attention to Whitmer, Governor Whitmer, because
Yeah.
she had started that whole, before this pandemic, she had started that whole thing about getting rid of all the sentences, and all the
Nonviolent.
clearing the records of all those people,
Yeah.
and pretty much emptying a lot of our prisons that were just drug charges. And of course, the righteous right was going to go after that. But then the COVID hit, and now that stuff all happened silent. It still happened. It just happened silently because everybody's screaming about her standing up to Trump and all that shit.
Yeah, well, it's because of the COVID. Nobody complained about it because it was getting prisoners out of a situation that would increase COVID. So her doing that arbitrarily helped both entities. The marijuana guys that were in prison forever, they got out, and then also the COVID thing was the cover for that. So, not saying it was actually a cover, an actual. We're going to sit there and say we're going to use this, but that was part of the deal. That's why it actually went down was so little.
Little headline: the leader of the Proud Boys was arrested.
Yay.
Yeah.
He was arrested because of the violence at the church.
Oh, the burning of the Black Lives Matter sign?
Yes, he was arrested
Wow.
for that. And they said, and also the mayor of DC said, if my police force sees you with a gun, you're going to get arrested.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, you're going to be in jail, and you won't be popular. That's me. But you won't. But we have
Hey,
trucks
you know what?
available. We will throw you in the trucks, and you will be in jail.
Hey, yeah, you won't be popular. You know what? The left has their dog whistle words too. Wink, wink.
That's right.
It's
You'll be traded.
just the right that has dog whistle words.
You'll be traded for a pack of Marlboros. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly. Your name will change.
That's right.
I want
By
a
the
national.
way-
I want a national holiday for whoever Trump's prison bitch is. So
Oh God. Do you remember? You remember the TV show Homicide?
Homicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So the wonderful actor, New York actor Dean Winters.
Mhm.
There was a riot in the prison, in the prison mess, and it shows these riot cops coming in, and they just start wailing people, right?
hmm
And in the ensuing riot, one of the prisoners gets killed. And they interviewed Dean Winters, who was in jail, and he had been in a previous episode for murdering his wife. And he killed a guy during the riot. And the guy he killed had killed Dean Winters' husband in jail. So Belzer says to him, let me get this right.
Dean Winters.
You're in jail for killing your wife, and you just killed a man who killed your husband. And he goes, what can I say? I'm a hopeless romantic.
Speaking of TV shows in the news this week, Ginger wins Survivor Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
She's the final
so
remaining member
sad.
on she's the
Tanya
Ginger.
Tanya Roberts died yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
Now the
Yeah.
story, all I've heard on that was what I've read. The first article I saw on it was that she was walking her dog on December 24th. So that's been almost 2 weeks. December 24th will be 2 weeks on Thursday. So, and she collapsed and she never recovered. Wasn't COVID,
Yeah.
but I didn't know of any conditions she may
Could
have.
be a bum ticker. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. That's too bad.
But Mary Ann, she was 82, and that was COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
She got over COVID. Yeah.
Larry King's got it now.
Yeah, he's had it
Sure.
for 10 days.
Yeah, so he's probably, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell when you're that old. What is he, 92?
87.
Something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
87.
He's very good.
The closer I get to that age, the less I go, 87? See, now I go like this. Yeah, he's 87. Yeah, he's 87.
We are still going 87. No, oh, it's 87.
87.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just-
87.
The interesting thing about Mary Ann is she was the only one that made money off of the Gilligan's Island.
That's
her,
right.
Her agent got her residuals or got her some an end deal on it
No,
that
know
the
the
other
story-
guys didn't know.
You know the story about Jack Nicholson and Batman, right?
Oh yeah,
Nicholson got paid for Nicholson. Let me emphasize this. For Nicholson, next to nothing.
so like 1 million, right?
He took a merchandising deal.
Oh, that was smart.
yeah.
And what was that movie? 1986? Is that a good guess?
Probably
Yeah.
a couple years later than that. I'd say 87, 88 probably.
Hey.
87, something.
He made $55 million.
Holy crap.
My God, just on the merchandise. Wow.
Yeah, he got paid like $1.5 million, and then he took a merchandising deal because
Yeah.
he's smart. I don't think you're going to see him in a movie again.
Nicholson? Is he
He's
in bad shape?
reached that age where he started complaining about what movies are like today.
Oh, yeah.
I thought was he suffering from Alzheimer's though? I thought that
No.
was the case.
No, that doesn't take Alzheimer's to complain about movies today. All it takes
Oh,
is
okay.
Well, the thing
Just
is,
like
there's still thoughtful, intelligent movies being made. Okay, there just are. Tom Hanks is making thoughtful, intelligent movies. George
Mhm.
Clooney is making thoughtful, intelligent movies. Jojo Rabbit was a brilliant movie. So Nicholson, it maybe he just doesn't want to travel anymore. Maybe he's just, who knows? I think he's like 82, 83. I'll tell you who has retired and lives in, I think, Santa Fe is Gene Hackman.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he has. Yeah, he's definitely retired.
But he's writing now. He's actually writing books now.
He's writing and he paints. He's a painter.
Yeah.
So if you're
if Nicholson just doesn't want to travel, he can join my project, and I'll cast him as my dad. He can be he can be in my sitcom. He'd be perfect.
I told you that story, right? He was having Sean Penn tells this story. He was having a drink with Nicholson, and a girl walks up to Jack Nicholson and goes, "Jack, do you want to dance?" And he goes, "Wrong verb."
Oh, God. I think you have told me that story.
That girl is probably still trying to figure out what he meant.
So, what stories didn't we have this year because of the?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I thought we discussed what stories that we didn't have this year that would have been stories that got pushed aside because of COVID, Trump, and George Floyd.
Oh.
Got pushed aside.
Because really, you know what? They had, do you realize that the vote for impeachment, where the Republicans sided with not impeaching, that Senate vote was like the first week in February. And it wasn't that, we weren't that much longer than that we were locking everything down in March.
A month later.
Yeah. And so all the discussion of, what do we go after Trump for next, or these people that had to run, that were going to run on their vote for or against Trump, now didn't have to run on that in the elections.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at, I don't, Ted Cruz went to Harvard Law. Howley's a graduate of Yale Law School. If this is an appeal to voters, it's the most staggeringly stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. It's not going to win. I don't understand it. And you're supporting a guy who's not going to be there. I don't get it. I really don't.
I think they think
it's because of the 71 million people whose votes should be heard. Well, Hillary Clinton got more votes than Trump.
Yeah, I think they think that they're going to get those votes, so that Trump brought all these votes into the party, that they're going to get those votes.
The morons.
And I'm kind of going like, that's kind of ridiculous that if you're going to sacrifice everything for that, I think one thing that Trump did show us is that if you go solidly towards your constituency, you can win.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know about that because here's what you have, and here's what the marketers figured out. Not the politicians. I'm talking about the people they hired to run their campaigns, which basically are the same people that sell Campbell's soup. The marketers figured out that you're going to get 40 to 45% of the people that are going to vote Democrat, and the same for the Republicans. You're fighting for 5 to 10% of the electorate, and that's all.
Every year.
Yeah. And the way they do it is, and now what you're doing is, you will never. The way to do it is a parliamentarian system where you have to form coalition governments, and you have to have some sort of, all right, this guy isn't the best, but this is what I want, and I know. I'll leave it up to him to vote my way when they're forming the government, blah, blah, blah. But the leadership in this country would rather have us divided because the ones at the top can control the what's the word for it? The mandate. They can control the points of order. They can control the agenda. That's it. They can control the agenda. I think anyway.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Mandate takes on a whole new term when you're talking about Lindsey Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're killing me.
Mandate.
In fact, if he becomes Larry Ambrose,
I bet nobody goes to the communal bathrooms when Graham is in the bathroom. So
Mike Pence is there.
Larry Ambrose wrote, if Graham becomes president, are we going to, instead of first lady, are we going to see the first trick? I'll tell you what I thought was an interesting story this week. Not of any consequence, but interesting. Trump has, he's got nothing. I mean, he's got nothing. So he's complaining that fashion magazines wouldn't put his wife on the cover.
Oh.
And that woman who was her friend played a tape of her saying, "Who gives a shit? I don't want to be on the cover. I don't care about that."
But Trump does. It's just,
and he said, here's the thing I like. The most elegant first lady ever. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. She decorated the White House like she had lost a bet.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We're gonna have we could have 300 more years of first ladies, and she's not even gonna come. She's not gonna even come close to.
I think she'll be forgotten. I think she will be. I mean this. I think she'll be forgotten.
Yeah.
He won't. She will.
Yeah. She never wanted to be that. She actually never wanted.
He was very.
The first year, she decorated it like a Target store.
That's right. Well, when Trump won,
that was her tribute to The Handmaid's Tale.
Pence's wife.
Exactly.
Pence's wife looked at Pence and said, "Are you happy now? Are you happy now?" She was ticked off because she hates Trump.
Well, of course she does. Mm-hmm. She's not a politician.
No, she's a religious bigot. I mean, there's a difference.
Yeah, there is.
She works at a school where if you're gay, they send you home.
No. Yeah.
I tell you what, the people that I know in the faith circles, and I'm going to include my Muslim and Jewish friends in this too, although I'm Christian, so I know more Christians. But the ones who are furthest from the United States, so in other words, missions or world travelers or world businesses, they are the least likely to follow this Republican bullshit.
That's correct. The ones of real faith.
Exactly. I know. I have friends that I've invited to this show that I thought would make a great contribution. One's in India, one's in Lebanon, one's in Peru. I mean, these are just people that I speak with on a regular basis, just kind of keep up with because I knew them growing up. I mean, they're all my age, and but they're missionaries, and they do not want to have anything to do with going public with any of the stuff that they say to me privately. They go, we raise our money among the bigots.
But you look at somebody like a Franklin Graham, okay,
right,
who it's so obvious, it's so plain to me that I feel like I'm yelling. What's that thing? Screaming in the wind. What a complete huckster he is. What a complete and utter. You cannot be. Listen, I'm Jewish, but you cannot be a Christian. You can't be a Christian and celebrate Donald Trump. You can't. It reminds me of that great line from Religulous, when it's one of the best lines I've ever heard. Bill Maher is at that truck stop, Chapel.
Yeah.
And he says to those guys, he liked those guys. And he said, because he felt they were genuine. He has no problem with people who are of genuine faith. He really doesn't.
Right.
He thinks they're wrong, but he doesn't chastise them. He doesn't make fun of them. And he said, pray for me. And he said, pray for me. And they prayed for him. And later he said, thank you for being Christ-like and not Christian. That's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard.
That is very cool.
Nice.
That is very cool.
That is, and people like Joel Osteen and Franklin Graham and Jerry Falwell Jr. who at least, we found out hires minorities. One of them was a pool boy.
He hires minorities.
Oh man.
But these guys are the least
I think
Christian
he was just looking for
people
staying
ever.
power.
Huh?
He was just looking for staying power. Had nothing to do with ethnicity. He just needed.
His father doesn't come under enough criticism. I think Billy Graham.
Yeah.
He had long conversations with Nixon about Jews and how we have to do something about the Jews. And he didn't mean let's bring them into the tent. He meant that in a very negative way. He told Nixon, don't let your daughter move to New York. There's too many Jews there. And then later he goes, I'm sorry I said it. No, you're not sorry you said it. You're sorry people found out you said it.
You said it, yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think you know what I'm not saying I'm going around to a lot of churches, and I may be tight with a couple, but what's really helped Jews and ethnic minorities and other nationalities is the gay population, because all these parents are now having gay children. And I guess being gay wasn't, I guess being black wasn't all that bad. I do that joke in my aunt because I've been doing for 30 years and still is relevant, where I say, my in-laws hated me because I'm Catholic and they're Protestant. And then my sister-in-law married a black fellow, saying being Catholic wasn't all that bad anymore. And my brother-in-law brought a boyfriend, and being black isn't all that bad either now. So
well, Dave Attell has this great line. He says, my father is a Marine sergeant. He's a very tough guy. When my brother told him he was gay, he told him to go outside and walk it off. Rub some dirt on it.
Rub some dirt.
Rub some dirt on it. Walk it off. There we go.
Years ago, in Life magazine, they had, well, it had to be years ago in Life magazine, but they had a story about Texas high school football. And Texas is the only state, they redshirt high school kids.
Yeah. They have stadiums.
Actually hold them back for a year.
They have stadiums for their high school teams.
Yeah. That hold like 25, 30,000 people.
Yes.
And
the whole time.
So they show, one of the photographs shows a kid's calf and there's blood coming out of it. And he went up to the coach. This is not a joke. This happened. He went up to the coach. He said, I'm going to sit this one out. And the coach said, why? He said, well, look at my leg. And the coach said, that's 3 feet from your heart. You're not dead. Get your ass out there.
Wow.
17 years old.
Yeah. Texas. What an interesting place.
It's funny, too, because, football. Well, there's two places where football is God, more than any other place, Alabama and Texas. But Alabama more than Texas, because Alabama has no major league sports.
That's true.
So, it's college football. It's Auburn and Alabama. That's it. That's it. Nick Saban could walk into the president's of University of Alabama's office and say, "I like this office. Get out," and he'd have to give it up.
Yeah.
The University of Alabama football team built their medical school. The revenue that they bring in.
I know U of M does pretty well with football here, and we don't even have a good team. So
no, know something? You will never have a good team as long as you have that coach.
Did they rehire him?
Huh?
Did they rehire him?
Not yet.
So he's still dangling. Okay.
He's got an agent looking in the NFL for him. So
I don't understand why there's a hesitation in firing him. He doesn't win.
He's a Michigan man. That's why.
You have Whoopi. You
Of
have
course,
listen, yeah.
they fired Brady Hoke, so he was a Michigan
Yeah,
man.
Matt Patricia's available, I hear. Listen, by the way, if the Lions can hire Eric Bieniemy,
Yeah.
grab him.
Where's he now?
He's the offensive coach. I can't remember where. I really can't. But that
Kansas
kid
City? Is he the guy
is
from
going to
Kansas
be yes, Kansas City. That kid is
How about
going to be a major coach for many years. He is brilliant.
Well, we fired our general manager too, so I'm not sure we're even in the coaching area.
Your general manager should have given himself 2 weeks' notice. Sorry. Jesus, I mean, they fired a lot of coaches over the last 2 days. The Jets, right?
Oh yeah.
The Chargers
The
fired
Chargers,
their somebody else. The Jaguars fired their coach.
right? O'Brien
think
got fired earlier.
Did Houston fire their coach? The Texans?
Earlier in the season.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And and the New York Giants fired the Eagles head coach.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Did the Eagles fire their coach?
No.
I don't
No.
think he's a bad coach.
But he lied. He lied right to those reporters' faces. I was trying to win the game. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. No, you took out a guy who had scored 2 running touchdowns, and you put in a third string kid who his first 5 plays he threw an interception and he fumbled. Stop it.
I tell you what, you know what? In this town, you don't get to see a lot of our local press conferences. I tell you how that would have been handled in this town. They would have said, we got to see what these kids can do. We don't have any shot of anything. So, we're not, we're
But
trying
let me say something. Had he said that, that would have been okay. He didn't say that. He said we were trying to win the game.
well, everybody knows that's bullshit.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If he had said, listen, we're completely out of it, okay? I have to see what this kid can do. That's fine.
Exactly. Yep,
But he didn't say that. He said, I had a lot of starters out there. But no, that's crap.
Tell you what, you ever notice that, teams like the Tigers and the Pistons and the Red Wings, Lions haven't learned this, but in my lifetime, the Tigers have been to the World Series 4 times, and the Red Wings have been to the Stanley Cup Finals 8 or 9 times. And
the Red Wings have a good history of success.
They have a great history, but they had the worst record in hockey last year. And the time before they had Yzerman, they had the worst record in hockey. And they do it for 2 or 3 years. And while they're doing this, that time that the whoever the ticket holders are that pay for watching them come in last place for all those 3 or 4 seasons really should be credited for building that team up, because they'll probably go on another 25-year playoff run like they did this last time, because they do it in those cycles. And the Tigers do the same thing. They had the record for the most American League losses in a season back in 2003. By 2006, they were in the World Series again. That's just how. And the Lions haven't learned how to take this pounding.
The Lions have been mediocre longer than any NFL team in my memory. For one of the original teams.
The only team that has a longer record of no championships are the Chicago, St. Louis, Arizona Cardinals. The last time the Cardinals won a championship, they were in Chicago.
It's been 60 years.
Yeah, they never won in St. Louis. They never won in Arizona. They haven't won a championship since they were the Chicago Cardinals, the crosstown rival of the Bears.
Well, you see, here's the difference. Now, this is the difference with Chicago teams. And I'm talking about all 4 major, hockey, baseball, football, and basketball. All their teams have either a decade or a year or a few years of absolute brilliance.
Oh, yeah.
And then they fade into mediocrity and they don't come back. I'll go right down the list. Chicago the Bulls had Jordan, had 7 or 8 years of absolute brilliance. They suck now. Okay. The Cubs won the World Series in 2016. They haven't been within a whisper of it. Okay. The Blackhawks won 3 Stanley.
The Cubs cycle isn't the same as the Blackhawks and the Bulls. The Cubs cycle is win a championship. 108 years go by. win another championship.
No, well, that's what I said. Sometimes it's 1 year. Sometimes it's 1 year. Okay, and so that's the Cubs. The White Sox won in 2009. That's not happening again anytime soon. What else? What am I missing? The Chicago Cubs, the Blackhawks, baseball. The Bears. The Bears had arguably one of the greatest defenses of all time, but that was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. 5 years ago. Man.
That Bears team was really almost psychotic. It was like, putting together a conglomeration of people on drugs.
That's right. Well, the old joke about the Dallas Cowboys, half of the team was arrested for cocaine. They were called South America's team. And by the way, do you remember when they were called America's team and everybody hated them for it?
Yeah.
That wasn't their fault. Here's what happened. NFL Films does a film on every team. And they give the film a name. Okay, so if your team is 2-14, the title will be Looking to the Future, that kind of thing.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, the year that they called them America's team, the Cowboys sold more paraphernalia, shirts, jerseys, than any other team. And that's why they were called America's team. But they didn't ask for that. They didn't want that.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
They were perfectly content to, not win the Super Bowl and rape cheerleaders. They had a system.
I don't know. You know what? I've
They had a
saw
system.
live, and 2 of the games were 10 rows or closer to the field. So live 5 times I saw Barry Sanders. And I know we don't have any championships in Detroit, but to see that guy live was amazing. I almost tear up when I think about it today, and it's been, 25 years since I saw that. That Barry Sanders was inhuman almost. I mean, he was just the things he would do right in the middle of a run. He could stop right there and back up and outrun the guy around him.
Yeah, he was with Hipple, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played with Hipple and with Scott Mitchell.
Scott
Hipple,
Mitchell. Okay.
Eric Hipple, Scott Mitchell.
Eric Hipple.
Eric Hipple, Scott Mitchell, and the other guy, the guy from USC, Rodney Peete. He played with Rodney Peete too.
Yeah.
So,
the 2 greatest running backs I ever saw live
what's
were
that?
O.J. Simpson
Oh, I saw him at the Silverdome too.
and Jim Brown.
Oh, I never saw him.
And let me tell you about Jim. Let me tell you something I love about Jim Brown. I used to work at Fox News. I told you that. So I'm coming down the elevator, and Jim Brown is in the lobby just talking to somebody, right?
Yep.
And a guy walked up to him and said, "Could I have your autograph, please?" He signed it, gave it back to him, kept talking. None of this, leave me alone, get away. No, here you go.
That's
Cool.
There you go. Yeah. And to me, he's like the Jimmy Carter of football. He has done so much good
after the game.
in Southern California for young men, and is underappreciated for that. He really is. The work he's done with those guys, with gang members, because they respect him.
We have statues in center field at Comerica, kind of like Yankee Stadium, as their Monuments Park or whatever that is out there in center field. And we got Kaline and Gehringer and Greenberg and George Kell, all the Hall of Famers. And then there's one of Willie Horton. And Willie Horton,
funny.
Well, he was not that well known outside of Detroit, but Mike Ilitch, when he bought the team, hired Willie Horton, and he's been in the front office ever since. And his job is to be a healthy member of the '68 World Championship team. And more than that, Mike Ilitch remembered him because in 1967, the Tigers were competing with the Red Sox, and I think the White Sox too. That's back when we didn't have divisions, and you played just for the pennant, and then went to the World Series. And we were battling Jim Lomborg and the Red Sox, and the riots broke out on June 23rd. And Willie Horton went out there in his Tiger uniform to quell the violence. And it was, I mean, outside of the city, I don't know if it was that well known, but it was such a risky thing to do because the Tigers represented, they didn't represent the hood. I mean, they had Willie Horton, and he was a local. He grew up blocks from Tiger Stadium. So, and up until that point, his most famous moment was in the city high school championship that was played at Tiger Stadium. He hit one over the roof. Now, when they talk about people that hit over the roof at Tiger Stadium, Mickey Mantle, Reggie Jackson, Harmon Killebrew, Frank Howard, when they talk about all these people, they never mention Willie Horton did it as a high schooler, you know.
What was the name of the guy who owned the Tigers? Not Ilitch, another guy. He was a religious nut.
Oh, Tom Monahan.
Yeah.
Do you know do you know that he said that if he had known his wife would not have converted to Catholicism, he wouldn't have married her?
Yeah.
He's a devout.
You know what happened? He was a kid wandering the streets. He was homeless, and nuns took him in.
Yep.
And that's what made him. But I mean, he was, he wasn't against abortion. He was against sex. I mean, he was crazy.
They had grottos and chapels at Tiger Stadium when he was the owner.
Wow.
And Tiger Stadium was a great place. Actually, Tiger Stadium, I think the whole place was built around grottos. I think they were just natural grottos that people didn't realize. Didn't even think about it being grottos until he named them grottos.
The original stadium with a big post.
I love that stadium. I put a picture on my Facebook cover page the other day. I just love that old stadium. It was a view from right field line, from the right field line in the upper deck. It was just this. What was great about it was I'm 60, and they opened the new one when I was 40.
Don't brag.
So I've seen more than half my games at the old stadium, and there were things about the old stadium that you can never get in any of the new stadiums. You just can't do it. A friend of mine we both coached Little League. I was in Livonia, he was in West Bloomfield, but we worked together, and so we try to schedule our teams to play each other once in a while. And because he was in West Bloomfield, he had all these people on his team whose parents owned season tickets. Well, one year he got these season tickets, and this is when they had the screen, and the screen didn't go all the way down to the bullpen, you know what I mean, because people were getting nailed. The screen just covered up basically the press box, so that the people that were so close to the field that when it came back at 100 miles an hour, they couldn't get out of the way. And so what this guy did was he bought 4 season tickets. 2 were on the inside of the screen and 2 were on the outside. And so you'd take your wives, you'd set your wives on the inside so they'd be safe from the foul balls. And then the guys would sit outside the screen so that they could get the foul balls. And you could hear the guys talking in the on deck circle. And it was baseball. It was great baseball because you were like watching a Little League game where you could hear the coach talking to the players. And, there was a reason why they cover their mouths. And it seems silly now because the arenas are so big and they're so far apart from each other and people read lips and all that stuff. But that was actually, they wanted to muffle what they were saying in the field because you could hear everything out there.
The worst stadium I ever saw. I've been to 22 stadiums. The worst was the Kingdome in Seattle. It had some kind of horrible, depressing mist coming over it. But the other thing was, you could hear someone on the third baseline if you were on the first baseline. If you went, they'd look up. So there used to be an umpire named Ken Kaiser, big fat guy, right?
Yep.
So he's coaching. He's umpiring first base, and a foul ball rolls towards him, and he bends over as best he can to pick it up. And some guy yells, "Pretend it's a hot dog, you fat son of a bitch!" And so Seattle was playing Cleveland. And the Cleveland pitching coach comes out, and some guy yells, "You suck!" And as he's walking back to the dugout, the guy points to him. You can't see me do this, but points to him and points to his groin. It was just one step away from, "Hey, blow me." Okay. But there was a guy. There was a comedy club there called Swanee's Underground, and it was 2 blocks from the Kingdome. And Swanee was a former minor league catcher, so we got free tickets to any game we wanted to go to while we were there. It
Wow,
was great.
nice.
Yeah, I love that, man. Seattle's a great city, just a great city. But the only problem with Seattle is, and I'm saying this to 2 guys from Detroit, and I live in New York. If you go there, that's where you are.
Really?
In other words, you're not saying I'm going to visit family. And no, that's where you are. Okay, it's 3,000 miles from well, in your case, 2,000 from everything you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like me saying, "Oh, I think I'll go down and see my sister in D.C." No, that's over. No. But I know people. That's why they move there. I actually know people. They go, "I don't want to see family, and this is the way to do it."
Yeah, it's the only place up there. Yeah,
Well, no,
I was-
Vancouver's not far,
that's true. That's
and that's
true.
a great city. Oh man, that city's enough to make you change citizenship. That city is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great
I-
restaurants, you know.
Hey, do they have a statue of Ty Cobb at the new stadium?
Say again.
Oh yeah,
Do they have a
there's
statue of Ty Cobb at the new stadium?
yeah, they have a Ty Cobb statue there.
Is that the
Do you
one
think
with him
they'll, do you
holding
think
a
they'll rip
lynch
Ty
rope?
Cobb down?
What's that?
Do you
Is
think
that
they'll
the
rip
one
Ty
with-
Cobb down?
What?
For what? Being a racist?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is
Tigers
that the
get
one where Ty is holding a lynch rope?
Yeah, the one that So the lynch rope and where he's beating the hell out of the guy with no arms. There we go. Yeah.
Was
Ty
it no
prece-
arms or no legs?
No, I think it was no legs. No legs.
That's the kind of thing Trump would do.
Exactly. It's
Well,
like-
he made fun of Serge Kovaleski, that severely handicapped reporter.
Oh God.
yeah.
Ty Cobb every year for Christmas or New Year, somewhere around the holidays, would take out a half page or a full page ad in the Detroit Free Press and say "Baseball is coming" with a picture of, and then he would sign it, Tyrus Cobb.
And then he
So-
would spike a 9-year-old.
Yeah. With his sharpened cleats. There
Yeah,
you go.
you gotta remember though, he played in the dead ball era.
Did you ever see the baseballs from that era?
Oh yeah.
They made softballs look like hardballs.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yep.
guys would like take knives and dig into them so they could sink their fingernails into it when they pitched. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, you know,
Okay, so the Ty Cobb's whole strategy was to steal bases. It wasn't about getting home runs. It was about getting on base
Yeah.
and stealing bases.
and the other thing is when he got to bat against like Walter Johnson, who was a very peaceful guy, he would
Mhm.
really crowd the plate because he knew Johnson wouldn't hit him. And he did.
Oh yeah. Got it.
So because him a walk was as good as a double.
Well, you know, he had a theory. There's 6 things that can happen if you try to stretch a single to a double. 6 things. But only one of them is you're out. The guy in the outfield muffs it. He overthrows. The guy in the infield drops it. The umpire makes a bad call. There's 5 good things that could happen. And that's what he traded on,
Well,
you know. And
Right.
amazingly, the only player ever to, as he slid into second, could shoot a black guy in the stands.
yeah, I think that's possible. Yes. Yes.
He was famous for sharpening his cleats.
That's
Yep.
correct.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they sent to the thing they put into the Hall of Fame was his cleats.
God
He
almighty.
was. He played before there was spring training too.
That's right.
It was
my
the Dodgers.
my father grew up in Baltimore, and he and his friends used to sneak into the stadium when and this is how old my father is or was, when John McGraw managed the Baltimore Orioles.
Wow.
Okay. And my father said John McGraw would see us and go, "Get out of here, you little sheenies, you kikes, get out of here," and would throw shit at him.
How old was McGraw? McGraw that he would have,
Huh?
how old was McGraw that he would have managed the Orioles?
No. This is the Orioles from like 1903.
Oh, okay. I was
No,
thinking of the
this
same.
isn't. No, this isn't Earl Weaver. No. This is 1904, 1905.
Oh, we would have said that to the ump.
Oh God,
No, what team hired the midget that couldn't get struck out?
that was Bill Veck who hired.
There's a
the
team that
St.
hired a
Louis
midget
Browns.
that couldn't get
The
struck
St.
out.
Louis Browns. Eddie Goodell.
Ah,
That was the
That's
name of the. That was the name of the midge.
there we
Eddie
go.
Goodell.
Was it the St. Louis Browns?
Yes,
Got
They
it.
3
became
foot. 3
Didn't the
foot
Browns-
8.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
his strike zone was so low they couldn't hit it, so they kept he kept getting walked on base.
Yep. He was a.
I have a great bad stadium story for you. I went to see the Padres play the Cardinals at Qualcomm Park in San Diego, and of course they got a nice newer park now that's fashioned after some of these older ones like Arlington and Comerica and stuff. But at the time they played at Qualcomm, which was more of a football field than a baseball field. It was like one of those parks that you would see. The only thing that made it better than Riverfront in Cincinnati and Three Rivers in Pittsburgh was that it had natural grass instead of AstroTurf. But anyway, Orlando Palmero was playing right field for the Cardinals. And I was out there with my brother, and we're watching the game, and they kept saying, Orlando Palmero. And at the time, Rafael Palmero was doing ads for Viagra.
Viva Viagra.
Erectile dysfunction drugs. And so the place was so empty. I just shouted, as soon as they said his name and you heard people giggling, I said, just wail like it, I am not that Palmero. And then you heard it echoing.
That's funny.
That is not me. I function perfectly fine. And I look, and my brother nudges me and he points down to Palmero. And you see his shoulders going, like he's giggling too.
They asked Tug McGraw if he preferred natural grass to AstroTurf, and he said, "I don't know. I've never smoked AstroTurf."
Classic.
So I haven't been to
kids,
what's that? What time are we here?
9:05.
Oh, we got to go. Hey,
Yeah.
it was another great, fun week. Thanks for catching up with us. Glad to see nobody's getting any gigs. No, I'm just kidding. I wish we were getting gigs. But we'll be ready for them when they come back.
The money's been sent.
The money's been. Did you get your money yet? Did you get your $600?
No, not my secretary, but I guess they sent a lot of money to the facilities that have music and have stand up and theater and all that stuff. They're gonna get some grants.
Well, now my two of my kids that work in Wayne County got $500 from the county each. So they're
Is
still
that
waiting.
a week or is that a one-shot thing?
It's a one-shot thing.
Gee, you know that Holland is paying their people $2,500 a month every month.
They're not the only ones.
No, they're not.
They heard
No,
South
they're
Korea.
not. That's
I
why
think
this election tomorrow is so important. Although I got to tell you something, I don't know if you've looked at the polls. Both Democrats are ahead.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I just want to pay attention to the polls because I've been misled before.
I know,
sound
but I'm optimistic about Warnock.
Yeah,
I'm optimistic
said-
about
I said-
Warnock. I'm not that optimistic about Ossoff.
I think he's a better
I sent $100 to Abrams to split between the two. So
I
That's
sent
my
them a certificate for Popeyes.
that's perfect. If you
I gave money to my local Democratic club, and then we voted to send money down to Georgia. So
there you go.
That's better than the devil going down there, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. But I think
Kids-
the Popeyes thing would have worked.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think that's the work thing. I will see
Yeah.
you next week.
see you next week, fellas. Thanks for joining me.
Ciao.
It's fun. All right. See you later, man.